Hello, hello. We're back again. Oh my word. Sorry, you've just caught me whilst I was eating. But this is it. Let's be realistic. Like, I was eating. Anyways, we're back. Another episode, another week of Being B. Let's go. Cue the trailer. Am I the problem for refusing to continue my family's tough love parenting tradition? This is the year. I'm going to keep reminding you this, and I think this is like a constant reminder for you all. This is the year that you reclaim your power. Summertime in 2020 was obviously the weather was great, but we just couldn't do much because we were locked in. We're locked in, they won't let us out. In this day and age, things are so different. The generation that came before us was completely different to what is now. I do not condone that at all. I'm really disappointed. Like, imagine hearing that from your dad. Children have access to the internet anytime that they want, of course, when they're old enough to gain access, but it is easily accessible. They can see a lot of things online. It's becoming a lot more difficult for parents as well. You don't want the same thing for your child. You will have your own parenting style, and I think there's different ways. I'll give you one story. I watched this one YouTube video. It was, oh my goodness, how can I forget? Guys, what do you think of the new intro and the outro? You may have noticed this was 2 episodes ago now. Yes, 2 episodes ago. Every time we're always playing around trying to like improve and do better things. And we've been thinking about this for a really long time. And my producer was like, okay, well, how are we gonna do this? And I said, I'll leave all the creative, side to yourself. Let me know what you think of, if you think of anything, and then we'll go from there. So we've now got an intro and outro. Let me know what you think of this, because I'm loving it. But I mean, by this point, we've already done the intro. But let me start again, just because this is exciting. Cue the intro. Anyways, welcome back to Being B. We're back again with another episode. We are 4 episodes in of season 2, and so far things are going great. I'm so sorry. I've just eaten and the food's still going down. Let me just take a drink and then we'll continue. Right, okay, back to it. We're ready. Anyways, sweeping the house. We have a new intro and outro. I hope you're loving this because you're going to be seeing a lot more of this. I love it. I hope you do too. Let's go. How's your week been? Talk to me. Have you had a busy week? Not so busy week? Have you been up to much? Because I have just been working hard. Like I said, I am getting ready for summer. Summertime is my favorite time of the year. So when it's coming up to that time of the year, I'm ready. I am working. I am putting in that work. I'm doing overtime shifts right now because I need to save up for summer. The plans that I have for this summer are not going to be paid by itself. So I need to have money. I need to enjoy. I need enjoyment. We're in this life to enjoy. You can't just be sitting there. You don't do anything. You got to enjoy life. And I'm enjoying. And for me, the summertime is just the time for me. And I thrive in the sun. Like, give me the sun anytime, any day. This whole winter thing, sometimes I do actually look forward. When we've had a bit too much sun, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for like the cozy nights in a bit of like winter cold. But summertime is where I thrive. That is my element. That is where B really thrives. So I hope you guys are also getting ready for summer, because I am. And let's have a good summer. I've got a feeling. I've seen like on socials, people are saying like this summer is going to be like the 2016 summer. Do you even remember what the 2016 summer was like? I don't think anything can ever top summer 2016. Is it 2016? I'm just trying to think now. I'm sure it was. But we had that period of time where summer was just, it was just vibes. There was a lot going on. The weather was good. Probably the best weather we've ever had in the UK, if I remember. And ever since then, it's pretty much gone downhill. Actually, besides COVID, because summer in COVID was really good. But obviously, we couldn't do anything because we were locked in. We're locked in, they won't let us out. Just a little bit of ASMR. Do you know what? This is what it feels like. Holding the mic in my hand is a little ASMR. So, right now, we are back in the studio, and I'm just talking a load of crap. Anyways, as I was saying, summertime in 2020 was obviously the weather was great, but we just couldn't do much because we were locked in. They could not let us out. Meanwhile, Boris Johnson was partying in Downing Street. He was having parties. Matt Hancock, I don't know what he was doing. That whole scandal. That whole scandal. Well, anyways, this summer, we're hoping for a good summer, or at least I am, because I've got some incredible holidays planned up. Not just for the summer, for the end of the year as well. At the end of last year for my birthday, I went away. I plan on doing another getaway for my birthday. So there's a lot to look forward to. And this year, what have I said? This is the year. I'm going to keep reminding you this. And I think this is like a constant reminder for you all. This is the year that you reclaim your power. Remember that. This is the year you reclaim your power. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And this year, I promise you, the job that I've been looking for, I know is there. I wholeheartedly believe that job I've been wanting, God has already prepared. He is working. He's working behind the scenes. I know he is working overtime. That job that I've been wanting is there. And the job that you've been searching for, it's there. You just got to believe. You just got to keep working and it'll be there. So we keep going and that's it. So before we get into the episode, of course, as I've already mentioned, we have changed the format. So let's, of course, go into Be Reddit. Let's go. So this week's Reddit story is a very interesting one. It's quite long actually. So of course I'll read it as normal and then we will try our very best to dissect and break everything down. Am I the problem for refusing to continue my family's tough love parenting tradition? I, 28-year-old female, recently had my first child. Growing up, my family believed in what they called tough love. That meant a lot of yelling, harsh punishments, and basically being told that emotions were weakness. My parents always said, that's how our parents raised us, and we turned out fine. But honestly, I didn't turn out fine. I spent years in therapy trying to unlearn a lot of the things from my childhood. I promised myself that if I ever had kids, I would raise them differently. Recently, my mom visited and saw me comforting my baby when she was crying. My mom told me I was spoiling her and said babies need to learn independence early. She also joked that I'm too soft and that my child would grow up weak. I told her that I'm not continuing the same parenting style because I believe it. I told her that I'm not continuing the same parenting style because I believe it caused a lot of emotional damage in our family. I said I want to break that cycle. My mom got really upset and she said I was disrespecting the way that she raised me. My dad agreed and said I was acting like I'm better than everyone else. Now, some relatives are messaging me saying I'm shaming the family and rejecting our traditions. I don't think wanting a healthier environment for my child is wrong, but now I'm wondering if I was too harsh when I told my parents their way caused harm. Am I the problem for refusing to continue my family's parenting style and trying to break the generational cycle? Amazing. Incredible story. I don't actually have an answer right now. Maybe when I cut this down a little bit more, I could potentially start to formulate an answer. As it stands right now, I don't think I can. Are you the problem? I don't know. Let's just start from the top. I just want to go back at the top of the dilemma, or I guess the story. Tough love. What do you even define as tough love? Because parenting styles are so different, especially today. The way that a lot of parents teach their children is very different to how it was a few years back. I suppose maybe cultural differences as well play a part in this, in the sense that, let's say for instance, I know certainly in African households, not that this is not a thing today, but punishment was a big thing and you would learn from that. You know, you weren't punished by speaking, you weren't punished by just telling you, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, or you should do that. There were punishments then where, I'm glad these things don't happen today, but punishments then were really, really brutal. It was bad. The way that you're told, let's say if a child did something wrong. I do want to just put this disclaimer before I do continue, that first and foremost, I do not condone violence. That is violence towards children, especially. I do not condone that at all. I just want to make that disclaimer and that point and my stance on that very clear before we move forward. We continue. Now, you're asking whether you're the problem. The way that your parents, brought you up, if you want something different for yourself, that's great. That is great because like you mentioned in here, their parenting style didn't work for yourself, which meant that it caused a lot of harm, it caused a lot of distress, and that really affected you. You don't want the same thing for your child. You will have your own parenting style, and I think there's different ways. I'll give you one story. I watched this one YouTube video. It was a couple of it's a famous YouTuber who was saying how the way that she was brought up by her parents, so her mom was a lot more strict. Mom was a lot more. It was a case of, okay, there was an element of fear from both mom and dad, but the way that they instilled this was so different. With mom, it was a lot more actionable, whereas with dad, it was words. So if you did something, he would just simply say something as simple as, "I'm really disappointed." Like, imagine hearing that from your dad. You would hear that as a child, "Oh my goodness, I've done something, it's not good, but my dad's disappointed." And especially if, as you look up to your parents, they are people who, are in this world to guide you. I've got to tell you something. Respect your parents. Guys, when I see kids that are disrespectful to their parents, I just think, what is going on? Like, how? These are people that have brought you into this world. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be here. I just want to, I guess, let's go. As you know, my faith is really important to me, so I'm just going to, of course, just add an element of faith into this. As a Christian, the Bible tells us, as here in this world, our parents are like, our God here on this world. They are people who, are like the gods here for us on this world. And when you are disrespecting your parents, even the Bible is against this. Even God will not be happy when he sees this. You have got to respect your parents. I don't know if I can emphasize that anymore. You may not believe that because you may not be of the same faith or of a similar faith, but just as a human being, respect is so important, whether that is even to your parents or not. However, I've just digressed completely. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is, yes, the way that you were brought up was completely different, but that doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing to your child. And the fact that your parents are saying, "Oh, well, you're being too soft, you're taking this soft approach." What if that soft approach is what will work for your child? You don't always need to, shout. That's another thing. Shouting sometimes does not get you anywhere. There's no need to shout. Just have a simple conversation. Maybe the child from then will understand. Your parenting style will be completely different to how you were brought up. For some people, it may be that, yes, the same parenting style will work. I know it has worked because here we are. And for some, it hasn't worked. It's even done the opposite. But that's just how it is. You really don't know how a child will ever turn out, but you've just got to find what works best for your child, what sort of parenting method is best for your child. I know it's not easy. Yes, I've personally not experienced that because I'm not a parent. However, just looking at this realistically, every child is different. The way that one is punished or the way that one is brought up is not going to be the same as how another one's brought up. You may have siblings and you're all completely different. You all have your own individual personality. The way that your parents are going to bring this person up is not going to be the same way. They may be a lot more strict, a lot more stringent with one of you, but that's just how that person is because you're completely different. If they were to use the same parenting styles on all of you, it's simply not going to work. It is not going to work because one person too well.
Can we just do that? Simply it's not going to work. One person is not going to take it too well.
It's simply not going to work. Like, one person isn't going to take it too well because that's just not how they will learn. And you just have to find a way to really, get your message across and find out how each individual child takes things. That's essentially it. So I guess then to add to that, you mentioned here the fact that, well, I've already touched on her saying that you're being too soft of a parent. That could just work for your child and you've got to do what works. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with soft parenting, but then again, there's a part of me that does think, growing up, from my personal experience, I grew up in a really, really nice household. It was never nothing too crazy, but the way that I was brought up and the way that my parents had educated me has clearly worked for me, and that probably isn't going to be the case for someone else's children or other parents, but you just got to find what works best for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and sometimes being soft can help the child, sometimes it can't, sometimes you have to be strict, but I'm not saying that you have to always be strict relationships with your child, because personally, I would want to not. I don't want to have a relationship where my child is scared of me. I don't want to instill fear. That is completely wrong. That's not something I want to do. But I want my child to understand, when I say something, dad is speaking. I guess to round that up, when it comes to discipline and parenting styles and guiding your child, there really is no right or wrong way. You've just got to find what works best for you, what works best for your child. You've got to understand the child to know that, okay, maybe this tough love isn't going to actually work well. That tough love could make things worse, and maybe gentle parenting, not too gentle, can be okay for your child. So whatever works best for you, you've just got to find that balance and do what you have to do. So that is it. There's no right or wrong way to educate or parent your child. You've just got to find what works best for yourself. So now we're going to move on to the topic of this week, which is on generational differences. So the reason I wanted to speak about this was I came across a tweet. Okay, I'll probably pop it on here, and it really just triggered something in my mind, and I thought, oh, this would be something to touch on because it's quite relevant. So the tweet said, look at generational differences, ... Your parents at 25, and then there's a list of things. So married, house, 2 kids, stable career. And then there was one that said, you at 25, and there was just a bullet point that said, survive. I thought, oh my goodness, this is so real. Like, that is interesting. So I thought, oh, this might be a conversation to touch on. Generational differences. So in this day and age, things are so different. The generation that came before us was completely different to what is now. From that list there, you've got marriage. Back then, our parents, back then, marriage was, always still is, like, such an amazing thing. I still believe, I personally believe in marriage. I don't know if you do. If you're watching this, you may or may not. However, the point is, marriage is an incredible thing. And, myself, I want to be married. But back then, the generation before, people used to be married at like 18, 19, even 20, you're already married. If you were married at like the age of 18, I'm sure in some cultures it was even earlier. I'm pretty sure that was even the case. But you'll be married at a young age. You have your kids at a young age, and that's it. By like the age of 30, you've probably had a whole family, and women would just stay at home. There was a lot of stay-at-home moms. Today there are stay-at-home moms as well, but back then it was more of a thing in terms of the housewife, and the man would go out and do work and provide for the family. The woman would take care of the home, etc. I'm not going to bore you into all of that, but by the age of like 25, 30, you've probably had 2, 3, maybe 4 kids, even more in some cases. But today, you compare that to the generation now. At the age of 25, like 25 today is such a young age. We see that as, my goodness, that's like where my career is starting, or at least that's when you're thinking about marriage at the age of like 25 and onwards. You either want to be married by 30, by the age of like 35, you may have 1 or 2 children. Not having as many children as we used to before. So all of these things, and the generational differences is insane. Like, so much has changed over the time, and generations are different. Times have changed. What is happening now is not what used to be the case before, but that's just how things have moved on. And, whether you agree, whether you don't agree, we unfortunately have to just keep up with it and have to move on, find out what works best for ourselves, and do what is best for us ultimately. And the other thing is as well, with that being said, I want to personally be in a position where I can take care of myself before I take on the responsibility of taking care of someone else. Because if I'm not able to simply look after myself, how can I take care of somebody else? Some people may agree, slight controversial here, thing that I'm about to say. But others may think, okay, well, we need to contribute equally. It's a 50-50 thing. But for me personally, I want to be in a position where I can take care of my wife. That's just me. That may not be the case for you. You may want a man who is able to, also do some of, I don't know how to explain it. Quite controversial. I guess you understand what I'm trying to say. But for me, I want to, in my traditional, sense, and that traditional part of me still wants to be the man that takes care of the home. That doesn't mean that you as my wife cannot have a career career of your own, yes, you can contribute. You can come into the house with your own experience, and I'm not going to stop that. I will help you. Even I will help you. You will thrive. You've got a career, because in the day that the day and age that we live at now, there's a lot of opportunities, not just for men, but for women. I will help you. You come with your expectations. I will help you. But I want to be able to still take care of you. You will have your career, but still that's not going to take away from the fact that I am the man that I want to be for yourself, the man that you want me to be for you. And I will do whatever I can to make sure that you are safe, that you're protected, and that you feel, most importantly, you feel loved. And that is, for me, what I place a lot of value in. And I will ensure that I do whatever I can to make sure that you are safe, you're well looked after, and that when we have kids, that our kids are brought up in an environment that is loving and they can see a good representation of love. Because I know, in generations before, sometimes that hasn't been the case, because the man's either out working, and there hasn't been that sense of a loving sort of family. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit far stretched. I might be saying a bit too much there. However, we've seen examples, and people have grown, and they have been able to not, take on what they saw whilst growing up, and that's just how it is, as we've already seen in Be Reddit. You don't want to be very, very tough on your kids like your parents were, and you just have your own approach. You find your own way to discipline your child, whatever works best for you, as long as the child is a good child. Because let me not even get into that. Some kids can be a pain, but you have to find a way to properly discipline your child with love and making them understand when they do something that is wrong. Okay, this isn't right. Here's what you should be doing. Don't do this again. And the child will understand. If you talk to the child will understand. Trust me, children are smart. Children are smarter than you think. And all you have to do is just talk to them, explain to them, and they will understand. And what I really love is as well, and especially in this generation, and with my brothers especially, we've grown up, and the way that I've grown up with my brothers is just so incredible. I think the way that I've what I see from them now, they've all grown up, they've got kids, and they're setting such an incredible example for me. Their relationships with all of their children, so my nieces and nephews, is just incredible. And I think that's testament, because the relationship that I have separately with them is a reflection of their parenting styles. And they are strict when they need to be, but there's this element of friendship with their children. And it's such an example for me, because I see that and I'm like, okay, like this works. This isn't how it used to be before. This isn't how it used to be, not in our not personally speaking from my family, but just in generations prior. It's not a case of, you have to shout, you need to be screaming. There's times where you may need to be a little bit like, okay, you can't do this. But the kids, like their children, are just so comfortable with them. It's like a friendship, but also they remember that, yes, I'm comfortable with my parents. However, I know that this is mom, this is dad. When they are serious, I can't mess around. Like when they say something, I have to respect them. I have to understand when there's a boundary. I cannot step that line. I cannot cross that boundary or cross that line, because at the end of the day, this is my mom, this is my dad. But it's just such an amazing relationship. And with all my nieces and nephews, I love them all. I have just this incredible relationship with them, and I just love seeing them grow. And that's very much it. I guess to wrap it up and end this episode, that is really that what this generation is there's a lot that's going on. We have the media, we have social media that is now getting involved, and it can change the way that we see and parent things, because children have access to the internet anytime that they want, of course, when they're old enough to gain access. But it is easily accessible. They can see a lot of things online. It's becoming a lot more difficult for parents as well. So whatever works best for you, you've just got to lean onto that. And that is it for the episode, guys. This one was probably a long one. I did ramble on quite a bit. But that is episode 4 done. We'll be back again for another episode, really soon. Just stay alert. Remember, stay tuned, stay alert. Keep your eye out on our socials, Being Bee Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Remember, follow us on Spotify. Make sure to leave a 5-star. Give us some ratings. We really, really want to push Spotify as well. Yes, I know you like the visuals. I know you want to turn up here and see me every day. I do too. I want to see myself every day. But I also want you to go over to Spotify and make sure you are engaging with us. We really, really want you to start engaging. As always, the visuals will be here on YouTube, but that is it. Over and out. Peace out. And episode 4 wrapped. Bye, guys.